extremely proud of our team. That's a big, big win for our program for a lot of reasons. I'm excited for our fans and appreciative of our fans for coming out and supporting us. It was great to be here in the Bay Area so they could all make it. It was a beautiful, beautiful day for football. It's a good football team. And getting this win, like I said before, it means a lot for our program. So proud of our guys. It's the last time they'll ever play together. That team that was it. And I think they all really care about each other. I think you can see it in the way that they play. And that stuff matters. So really happy for them, happy for our staff and all the support staff that is a part of this, whether it's our strength and conditioning, the treatment center, our academics, our administration, our chancellor. There's a lot of people involved, so I'm hoping they can enjoy this one for a while.
All right, open up for questions. Raise your hand, we'll bring you the mic.
Justin, I know you want to soak in this one for a while, but can you look ahead a little bit? And
I want the players to soak it in. I'm kind of, by tonight I'll be moving forward.
Let's move forward now.
Yeah.
What can this team potentially do next year? What's the ceiling? You guys have made big progress, but there's ways to go.
Yeah, we really don't talk in terms of ceilings. I think there's a lot of room for improvement across the board. And myself and all of our coaches, we'll take a look at everything that we do systematically in our program, how we support our players, what we're doing, scheme-wise, offense and defense and special teams, how to improve that. And then how do we, how does every individual get a little bit better? Because it's the marginal gains that make the difference. I mean, if you look at our the margins of winning and losing, I mean, you're talking about drives, a number of drives throughout the season that can really tip it. And so it takes the entire year of acting a certain way, preparing a certain way, so when those moments come, you can take advantage of them. But I think it's an exciting time for us. We talked in the locker room about the 2020 team, and starting January 16th, that the dial's getting turned up, and that's a good thing. And the expectations should continue to rise.
Coach, at the end of October, you guys were 4-4. What does that say about the team and your staff to finish the year 8-5 and winning 3 in a row?
Yeah, absolute, character check. We talked about it, during those times, because man, you ride the roller coaster, in sports, it can be really difficult if you're that emotional as a team. And so it's tough when things aren't going your way, and for whatever the reasons. We had a month, or really a month and a half if you had the bye weeks, where we didn't play real well, we weren't winning. We started with 4 wins, then we had 4 losses, but I think the guys, to their credit and the credit of everybody in the department, we stayed with it and kept working at it, and practicing hard and preparing, and didn't lose faith in what we were doing or each other, and we were able to play our way out of it and win 4 of the last 5. So that's a big deal.
Coach Wilcox, your offense is ultra automatic today, no doubt about that. Very effective. Your defense, could you talk a little bit about that? They deserve a lot of credit.
I thought it was a kind of ultimate team win, because in the first half, our offense was really moving the ball well, and we had maybe a 1 stop or 2, but they were moving the ball. And defensively, we weren't doing a great job in the run game, so the first half ended quickly. Offense had a great drive at the end of the first half to score, and then we gave up a field goal, which was a little frustrating right before the half. Now in the third quarter, I thought the defense made some key stops in key moments, and our offense put together some drives, so that changed the complexion of the game. Because now, they're playing from behind, throwing the ball a little bit more maybe than they wanted to. I don't know, you'd have to ask them, but I think, early in the game, they were controlling the clock and running the ball and moving it down the field, and were efficient. But in the third quarter, our defense got some timely stops. Our offense continued to move the ball and put it in the end zone. Not kick field goals, but score touchdowns, and that really changed the complexion of the game.
Coach, what do you think of your quarterback today?
I thought he did a great job. Awesome job. I mean, efficient. And he'll even tell you there's probably a couple he's stewing about, but man, he did a heck of a job. But I thought the offense in general, the O-line, Chris Brown, the receivers making contested catches. We talk about that a lot. It's easy to catch the ball maybe when nobody's around you and there's no threat of getting hit. But guys made contested catches today. Jake Tonjes and Kikoa and Miko, and all those guys. And that's huge in the pass game. But our O-line did a heck of a job. I thought our offensive staff did a great job putting the game plan together and trying to dial some things up. So took everybody, but Chase played a really, really good game, no doubt.
Can you talk about his growth a year ago at this time? You guys had to take him out of the game at halftime because he wasn't at his best, and he's obviously a different player now.
Yeah, and you know, we're not making excuses for people, but a year ago he was a freshman quarterback playing in the Pac-12, and you know, some of those things he could have definitely done better. But you know, it's the quarterback position is always going to get a little bit more either glory or blame than they deserve. But I think he's taken that next step, you know, and he's worked at it, whether it's the weight room, whether it's meetings and practice. As you all know, probably noticed, Chase is a pretty steady guy. Doesn't give you a lot of emotion, you know, in terms of highs and lows, and he has just continued to work at it, and guys respect him because of how hard he works and his preparation, and I thought it really showed today, and I think he's got a bright future. I just can't wait to get him back out there and watch him continue to grow.
Your entire offense basically returns. How good can they potentially be?
Well, I think you kind of see as the season finished where we were going. We played our best football on offense later in the season. I think they're going to continue into the off-season through strength and conditioning and developing our bodies, and also the chemistry with each other, throwing the football, and experience. You know, experience does matter, and you know, we will never hide behind inexperience, but it absolutely helps. And you talk about Chase Garbers and Chris Brown and Matt Cindric and all these guys, some of these younger players that have played a lot. Mekhi Polk is a different guy today than he was 3 months ago. I mean, it's evident. And so those reps do matter. And there's so many things you can simulate in practice. They got to go out and play in the games. I'm really excited about that group, and we're going to continue to push them, and we're going to continue to recruit and create more competition across the board on both sides of the ball. But that's what it's all about.
Coach, we had the pleasure of seeing Alex Smith there to be extremely fired up, make some big hits, and generally just enjoy his last game. What was it like seeing him get in there and have handoffs like that, and guys like him enjoying
I think that Alex is a great example of a guy that's just stuck it out, and he came as a walk-on, and really his entire time has earned the respect of his teammates because of how he works at it, the kind of teammate he is off the field, how he treats people, and just a joy to be around. He's really good for our team. You know, and he might not be the starting running back, but he plays on special teams, and he's a role player, and it takes guys like that, not only on the field, but off the field, for your program to grow and develop. And we got a number of them, but Alex had a big day today, and I mean, how cool is that for a guy and his, being from here and finishing with a scholarship. I mean, it's just what a great moment for that guy, and he'll be able to carry that with him for the rest of his life.
Justin, you have 3 offensive coaches to replace. Can you talk about what you're looking for, especially out of the coordinator?
Yeah, the fit. I think first as a person, somebody that's going to fit in at Cal, going to coach our guys the right way, because there's a lot of people that can draw up plays. There's a lot of people out there. I mean, you guys get on YouTube and study it, you'd be able to do it, or maybe you already can. But a lot of people can draw up plays. It's the right type of coach for our players, and the system has got to fit us. There's a lot of ways to line up 11 guys and runs and passes, but what's best for our place and being at Cal, the type of players that we have is critically important.
You want the system to be basically what it's been?
We got to run the ball. We got to play action. We got to throw it. We got to have some screen game. Probably more than one personnel grouping, because that's who we are, and that's the our recruiting base is we'll have multiple position groups, and we'll have tight ends and receivers, and we might not be able to use our players to the best of our ability. And sometimes your strengths will change from year to year, but I don't envision us being wishbone one year and empty another year. So at the end of it, I think it goes back to the fit, and the system needs to fit the place, and that's what we're looking for. And there's a lot of really good candidates who I've spoken with, and I would expect something in the short term to happen. So.
Coach, your tight ends probably had their best receiving performance of the year today.
Mm-hmm.
What can you say about the growth of that group and the job Coach Tuiasosopo has done with them?
Done a great job with them. Let's see, I'm looking for the numbers here. Where is it? I think you look at the guy, we've had to grow the position through recruiting, but also within our own roster. And so Colin Moore was a walk-on quarterback who caught a touchdown today. And Colin is another guy like Alex Mathurda who's just like put in his time and has been a grinder, and he's carved out a role in that room. And then Jake Tonjes is a walk-on from down here in Los Gatos, and another guy who just, since last year, found his way on special teams, and then he kind of developed his body. He's like, this guy could do something, and then through spring ball and fall camp, he just wouldn't go away, and he would never take a day off, he wouldn't take a rep off, and he's just earned his way. He's very competitive, earned a scholarship, and he's making big catches, contested catches for us, and I think he's going to continue to get better. Gavin Reinwald, a little bit undersized when he got here, redshirted last year, so we're going to continue to grow that room in a lot of different ways, but I think it's a place, we should be able to get good tight ends at Cal, and we're going to continue to use them in different ways.
Coach, you mentioned earlier that Polk is a different player now than he was. Do you know a little more detail? How has he improved? What areas? And what,
Well, probably just across the board if you ask him and all of us. I mean, he's a true freshman, and he has just grown a lot physically in the detail of playing the position. I think he's going to continue to get better and better as he develops his body. He's still pretty slim, but he's an explosive guy. He's got great athleticism. He can catch the ball, and if you just look at over the course of the year, you can kind of see the progression. And we're going to continue to push him, and he should get better and better the more he plays. I mean, that's just kind of natural. When a true freshman comes in here, not everybody's just ready-made to plug in and play. And I think our job as coaches is to develop them, and we need to be a developmental program to be at our best. And I think he's a great example of that, and Burrow's done a great job with him.
Coach, you had a pretty full complement of offensive players for one of the few times this year. Is this more of an indication of what this Cal offense might look like in the future? Diversified, be able to do a lot of different things?
Yeah, that's the idea. And there's circumstances that come up. People do get injured in football, and things happen from time to time. So our job as coaches is to be, prepare our players the best we can with who's available. And like I said earlier, I thought our offensive coaches did a fantastic job preparing for this game. And when you have everybody available, that's a good thing. I mean, nobody's going to dispute that. But I think all of them, not only the 11 that play, but the top 20 or 25, and then we're going to keep adding to that. So your roster matures, and they get better and better. And like I said before, the expectations are going to get cranked up. So, for us as a program and them as players, that's how it should be.
And looking at the roster, the primary areas where you lack depth this year seem to be offensive line and quarterback, and maybe wide receiver a bit too. And it looks like those needs have really been addressed, where you're in position to have a decent amount of depth in those positions next year.
Yeah, you want to have more than just a starting 11. You need to in our conference, and like I said, the injury thing does happen, and you got to deal with it from time to time. But I'm encouraged by the roster and some of the young guys that are going to come in and continue to push. And there's going to be guys on our team that are freshmen this year that maybe played a little bit, then all of a sudden you're going to notice next year. But a lot has to happen between now and then, and whether it's off-season workouts or spring football and meeting time and practice time, there's just a lot that goes into it to go up and perform well. So our job is to keep pushing.
Any final questions?
Coach, I know Ashton didn't play today, but can you kind of talk about what he's meant to this program and going from redshirt to scholarship player?
Geez, I could go on and on about most all of our seniors. We talk about Weed and Jalen Hawkins and all these guys. And Ashton Davis is just a special guy. You don't, this day and age, to have a guy basically beg his way into the program as a walk-on hurdler and come in and played scout team receiver, and then he moved him to defense. Before we got here, he was playing corner, and then we got here, and I mean, the guy is just kind of everything you want as a person. He's an incredible human being, and he's just the most humble athlete I think I've ever been around. He has got no idea how good he is, or maybe even if he does, he's just so humble you'd never know it. And it hurt him to not be out there today, even talking to him this week, but he had to have a minor procedure. There was really no way around it. But guys like Ashton and Jalen Hawkins and Weave, and there's a bunch of these guys, Cameron Bynum, they just have meant so much, not only to the play out there, that they make big plays, but the locker room and what the expectations are for each other. You know, because the coaches set expectations, and our job is holding those expectations. But those guys set expectations for each other, and they start holding each other to that, and the young guys see that. Well, that's how the program's developed, and that's a really good thing. So it's not just the athleticism and the plays that Ashton and Jalen and those guys made. It's the things that you guys don't also do.
Justin, you mentioned earlier rising expectations, and at least one of your players in here referenced the Rose Bowl. It's been a long time, but should Cal fans and should you guys expect to try to compete for that?
That's the reason we sign up. I mean, if you're not trying to win every game, then what are we even doing here? So we can talk about it, and that's all great, but what it takes is a lot of hard work, an investment by the people in the program, not just the players and coaches, but the institution. And we'll have very high expectations for ourselves going forward. Now, what those are outside of our building, we don't really control. But there's no reason we can't expect more out of ourselves, and I think we've earned the right with some of our things that we've done well and some of the things we haven't done well to expect more. And that's exactly what we're going to do.
All right, final question. All right, Coach, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you. Go Bears.